Throughout all history, the immortal love story of Cleopatra and Mark Antony has fired the imagination of men. Many magnificent motion pictures have been dedicated to their illustrious name. Now comes the most provocative, the most daring, the most shocking of them all.
I'm delighted I'm joined by film historian, broadcaster and journalist Maurice Bright, MBE. And we're going to talk about Maurice's favourite carry-on movies, perhaps. So
difficult, isn't it?
I mean, what an amazing film genre.
You've got 31. I mean, you had the original 30, if you like, between 1958 and 78. So you had the original 30. And it is very difficult. And as you get older, your views on the carry-ons may change. So when I was very, very young, and I used to watch them with the family, I tended to laugh at the ones which had a lot more slapstick in, because I didn't necessarily understand the double entendre, the innuendo. And as I've got a little bit older, I've actually understood a little bit more of the double entendre and the double meanings, etc. And the slapstick's taken a slightly sort of back step, if you like. So it was a difficult one, because I tend, when there's a group of 30, to think of a few. So, for example, Carry On Cabby, which is one of the last black and white films. It's an absolutely wonderful film, great cast, great pathos, wonderful performance by Hattie Jakes. But the reason why it doesn't quite do it for me is because my hero, who I was delighted to meet, was Kenneth Williams. And I loved Kenneth Williams, and as I got a chance to meet the man on a couple of occasions. And so it really needed to be one with Kenneth Williams. I felt the films of the 70s, early 70s were quite good, then they drifted off a bit. It was a change in era. It was a change in what was going on in the cinema. They were trying to keep up, if you like, with some of the more saucy comedies that were coming out at the time. So for me, it needed to be somewhere sort of maybe mid to late 60s. Loved Carrying Up the Khyber. Saw it at the cinema at the Barbican with Peter Rogers, the producer, in the 90s. So got an opportunity to have a look at it on a big screen. And again, it's one of those films which are actually worth looking on a big screen. People assume carry-ons are cheap-looking films. They're not.
They're not, no. And Khyber looks astonishing.
Wonderful. And they're made inexpensively, but they would use the top technicians. So you had Alan Hume, who would go between Carry On and Bond, and was nominated for an Oscar, I think, for Runaway Train. You don't get to make a film in 6 weeks unless you've got the top technicians. So they were made inexpensively, but it didn't necessarily look inexpensive. I loved Carry On Spying, because, again, it was Kenneth Williams' forte, but it was a lot of the stop messing about. But for me, looking back, I think I'm going to go for Carry On Cleo.
I must warn you, Julius. There is unrest in the Senate. There have been rumbling.
You eat all that spaghetti they eat.
See the historic stabbing of Julius Caesar and hear his immortal words.
Infamy! Infamy! They've all got it in for me!
I like within it not just the performances, but the way that the script is played with. It's probably less Shakespeare, more Bernard Shaw, Caesar and Cleopatra, rather than Shakespeare. But you know what? There's so many knowing lines in there and cleverness in there. I know there's the infamy, they've all got an infamy gag. Yes, I know that actually that wasn't a Talbot Rothwell gag, it was actually Dennis Norden and Frank Mears, and he used it many years later, but it works so well. But those other lines between Kenneth Connor and Jim Dale, looking at the signs, which are we? Vestal virgins or eunuchs, not sure which door to go in. Oh, we're eunuchs. What have we got to lose? Things like that. He's, it's wonderful. And you've got Charles Autry, beware the Ides of March. He's going, what are you talking about, beware the Ides of March? He said, oh, ignore the old fool. Last month it was beware the nuts in May. So it's very funny. It's very silly. It looks great because, of course, they've got costumes that were used,
for Cleopatra.
Absolutely. And so you've got Sid James wearing Richard Burton's outfit. And I just think the whole thing is just very clever. And also, I know Jim Dale very well. He's a very dear friend. And he said that Kenneth Williams used to mess about something terrible on set. So when they're running around, there's that scene where the big guy's coming at them and they're all pushing up against themselves, sort of up against, next to each other. He would really push himself up. He'd push his bum right up to, and he'd go, Kenneth, stop it, stop it. And he knew he was being filmed, so Kenneth would be messing about. So generally, it sounded like they had good fun making it. The script is crisp. It holds out very well. By nature of the fact it's a historical film, they don't date. Yeah, so it doesn't feel dated. Joan Sims, Kenneth Williams, Kenneth Connor, Sid James, all of them. Never Charles Autry, never better. And some wonderful cameos from from people like John Pertwee. So for me, if I've got to pick one, I'm going for Carry On, Cleo.
There you go. You can't argue with that. Carry On, Cleo, it is, in certainly my view, one of the best Carry On movies. And to have all the costumes and sets, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton's Cleopatra, you couldn't lose, really, could you? But a great contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So whether you're into the latest releases or prefer to go behind the scenes with some of our greatest filmmakers, please do subscribe to our channel. We post new videos every week, so there's always plenty to see. Here's a couple more from Rabbit and Snail that you might want to check out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.